How do you keep your most marketable player from walking to a rival league? That is the question hanging over the WNBA, and the league has signaled it is ready to answer. The momentum around women's basketball has never been stronger, and much of that surge is tied to one name, Caitlin Clark. Her rookie season with the Indiana Fever turned regular nights into must-watch appointments, pushed ticket demand to levels the WNBA has never seen, and brought new fans into the game at an unprecedented pace. Now, with reports that European clubs are circling with massive overseas contracts, league insiders say the WNBA is preparing a bold counter, a path to ownership that would tie Clark's future to the Indiana Fever and to the league's long-term growth. Caitlin Clark arrived to the pros with a national audience and the kind of star power that usually belongs to global brands. At Iowa, she shattered attendance records, drew millions of viewers for regular season games and the NCAA tournament, and made arenas feel too small. When Commissioner Kathy Engelbert called her name on draft night, Indiana Fever select Caitlin Clark, University of Iowa, the WNBA knew it had a catalyst. The Fever knew they had a franchise anchor, and television partners knew this season would be different. It was. Clark's debut didn't just generate headlines, it moved numbers. Road crowds swelled wherever she played. Teams shifted to bigger venues. Secondary market ticket prices spiked. Home attendance in Indianapolis surged to figures the franchise hadn't touched in years. National broadcasts featuring the Fever led the WNBA schedule, and casual fans who had followed Clark in college stayed with her as a pro. League officials projected total attendance to finish more than 200,000 above the previous record. Local TV ratings rose. National windows delivered the best regular season viewership the league has ever posted. Sponsor interest grew with it, from national brands looking to attach their names to a rising star and to a league suddenly doing historic numbers. Inside that wave, the business case was straightforward. Women's basketball has a global platform now, and the WNBA sits at the center of it. For the first time in a long time, expansion isn't just a talking point, it is a plan. Ownership groups in NBA cities and beyond are raising their hands. Building, though, means scaling the right way. Smart media rights, stronger game presentation, more charter flights, better travel, and investment in team business operations. The Indiana Fever, once a rebuilding team with empty seats, are now a hot property. According to multiple valuation trackers, the Fever's franchise value is estimated north of $90 million, up close to 40% in 1 year, driven by Clark's arrival and a new media environment. Across the league, WNBA team values have jumped in the last 5 seasons, reflecting better sponsorships, broader fan engagement, and the league's new relevance on the national sports calendar. But momentum does not remove risk. The same star power that boosts the WNBA also makes Clark an obvious target for overseas clubs. For years, elite players have added or even prioritized overseas seasons to boost income. EuroLeague women, top clubs in Turkey, Italy, and Spain, and previously Russia and China have offered salaries that dwarf WNBA paychecks. Diana Taurasi famously skipped a WNBA season after a Russian club paid her to rest. Breanna Stewart spoke openly about the financial advantage of playing abroad. Before NIL exploded in college sports, overseas money was the only way for most women's basketball stars to maximize earnings. Even today, with record WNBA interest, overseas offers remain strong. So when reports surfaced that European teams were preparing multi-million-dollar contracts for Clark, the rumor didn't feel far-fetched. It felt like a predictable test of the league's new era. The WNBA's response, according to people familiar with ongoing conversations, is a massive pivot in how it values top talent, an offer that would give Caitlin Clark a stake in the Indiana Fever's business future. Player owners are rare in American sports. Michael Jordan's path from NBA star to Charlotte Hornets owner is a blueprint many know, but that move came after retirement and years of business deals. Applying a version of that model to a 22-year-old WNBA rookie is unheard of. It tells you two things. First, the league understands Clark is unlike any player it has ever had in terms of commercial impact. Second, the WNBA is willing to rethink traditional structures to keep its brightest star on American courts. Let's be clear about what an ownership stake signals. It is not just a bigger salary check. It is equity tied to long-term growth. If franchise values continue to climb and media rights expand, that equity compounds. It also gives a player a formal voice in the business, how a franchise invests, how it positions itself in the market, and how it builds community. For Clark, whose career has always included a branding element, community appearances, youth clinics, charitable partnerships, and a strong social media presence, this kind of role fits the way she already operates. She has spoken often about wanting to grow the game and leave it better than she found it. Ownership is a way to do that with real leverage. All of this is happening as the WNBA hits important business milestones. Viewership on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN2 has jumped year over year. Streaming partners have shown interest in adding more windows. Ticket sales are up across multiple markets, not just in Indianapolis. Las Vegas, New York, and Seattle had already built solid fan bases. This season showed that cities like Atlanta, Dallas, and Phoenix could host big nights when star players visit. Sponsor categories, from banking and insurance to beverage and tech, added deals. The WNBA's social media metrics exploded during the NCAA tournament and stayed high as Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and other rookies joined the pros, creating a youth wave that the WNBA can market for years. That youth wave is where the tension lives. Veteran superstars like Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Alyssa Thomas, Chelsea Gray, and Sabrina Ionescu have been carrying the WNBA for years. They are the reigning champions, MVPs, and all WNBA staples who built this chapter of the league. When one rookie captures an outsized portion of the spotlight, it is fair for veterans to wonder if the balance is tilting too far toward marketability over seniority. If the league moves forward with an unprecedented equity offer for Clark, those questions will grow louder. Is this a one-time exception for a once-in-a-generation draw, or the start of a new tier of benefits for market makers? How does the WNBA ensure investments in one rising superstar don't come across as a slight to the champions who built the foundation? It is the kind of debate healthy leagues have. On one side sits the case for growth. You keep the biggest needle mover in the building and give her incentives aligned with the league's success. That rising tide can lift everyone. Higher media rights, more charter travel, better facilities, improved revenue sharing, and a stronger international footprint. On the other side sits the case for fairness. Veterans want to see their work and loyalty reflected in pay, perks, and opportunities. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement will be the framework that balances both. Revenue growth, once a distant hope, is now tangible enough to revisit how money flows to the players. As the league renegotiates media rights, the Players Association will push for a bigger share, improvements in travel and scheduling, and new income streams tied to sponsorship and content.
The overseas question adds urgency. In Europe, top clubs pitch more than money. They pitch a central role on teams built to win continental titles. They offer shorter seasons with fewer travel headaches, plus housing and benefits that make relocation easier. For a player with ultra-high value like Clark, overseas also offers a place to test her brand on a global stage. Shoe partners, apparel lines, and consumer brands see international growth when an athlete's game crosses borders. That is the competitive landscape the WNBA is trying to beat, not just with salary, but with prestige and platform. The message the league wants to send is simple. The biggest stage for women's basketball is here, and the best long-term returns, both financial and cultural, will come from building the WNBA into a global powerhouse rather than splitting peak years across continents. The stakes for the Indiana Fever are obvious. Drafting Caitlin Clark reset their timeline. The plan is to build around her, Aaliyah Boston, and a core that can develop together under the brightest lights. You don't make that bet unless you believe you can keep your star happy and invested. An equity path is a way of saying, you are not just our point guard, you are our partner. It is also a move that would help the Fever navigate the realities of a hard salary cap. The WNBA CBA sets limits on player salaries. Creative but compliant ways to reward value, equity tied to league rules, marketing deals within guidelines, performance bonuses, and team-driven sponsorships are tools every front office is exploring. There is a numbers case to be made for this approach. In the last 5 years, WNBA franchise values have tracked upward alongside other North American leagues. The NFL's team valuations rose more than 40% in that span. The NHL's more than 50%. MLB's more than 40%. Those leagues started from a larger base, but the rate of growth in the WNBA now rivals those curves, especially in the last 24 months. When you see regular season average viewership up triple digits in key windows, ticket sales up by double digits in multiple markets, and merchandise sales spiking around new stars, it is no longer wishful thinking to project big gains. The Fever's near 40% bump in value makes sense when you look at the demand for single-game tickets, season tickets, and local sponsorship inventory since Clark's arrival. A share in that kind of growth is the kind of wealth-building tool no base salary can match. There is also a culture case. Clark's presence helps the WNBA reach new demographics. Families who watched her in college are buying group tickets. High school teams are attending games together. Broadcasters are dedicating longer pre-game blocks and more shoulder programming. Opposing teams are selling Clark night packages and using her visit to showcase their own stars. The social conversation is broader, mixing longtime WNBA fans with new viewers who are learning the league's history and rivalries in real time. That growth folds back into the product: higher energy in arenas, more media at practices, and more pressure every night. It feels like a leap. That leap needs to be managed. The WNBA's competitive balance remains strong. The Las Vegas Aces and New York Liberty have set the standard for roster building and player development. The Minnesota Lynx and Connecticut Sun never go away. Phoenix, Seattle, Washington, and Chicago have stars that draw. Angel Reese has given Chicago a new edge. Cameron Brink's spot in Los Angeles gives the Sparks a new runway. Paige Booker's, Juju Watkins, and others coming out of college in future drafts will replenish the pipeline. A single player does not carry a league, but a single player can carry a moment, and right now that moment is Caitlin Clark. The league's job is to turn that moment into a decade. How do players feel? It depends who you ask. Some veterans praise Clark's effect on ratings and attendance and want the league to use every tool to keep momentum on shore. Others caution against overcorrecting and want to see investment spread across teams and players who have earned it season after season. Aisha Wilson speaks bluntly about respect for the work that built the Aces' 2 titles. Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart understand what it means to be faces of a franchise in New York. Alyssa Thomas plays like the league's beating heart in Connecticut. These are not supporting characters, they are the co-headliners. The WNBA's messaging will matter. Framing an equity path as a pilot for star retention that can expand to veterans will land very differently than positioning it as a one-off for one rookie. The fan dynamic matters too. Online debates can get messy fast, especially when they center on individual players. The WNBA needs the conversation to be about the product, best-on-best competition, compelling matchups, and a postseason that delivers new peaks. The 2.5 million viewers who tuned in for a recent WNBA Finals game are proof that the audience will show up for meaningful games. Building that baseline audience, not just the spikes around one name, is how the league makes a media rights leap from its current deal to a far larger one. That next deal will set the table for everything else: higher player pay, better production, more shoulder programming, and deeper integration with streaming partners who can grow global reach. So, where does this go in the next 12 months? Expect the WNBA and the Players Association to keep prioritization front and center. If you want stars on the floor, you need a calendar and a pay structure that make it easy to choose the WNBA over Europe. Expect the league office to push expansion beyond the next 2 announced teams and to target markets that can support immediate impact. Think Bay Area, Toronto, Philadelphia, and other NBA-aligned cities with strong corporate bases. Expect sponsors to continue to chase jersey patches, arena signage, and content integrations tied to the biggest names, and expect teams to invest more in content teams, ticketing staffs, and community programs to convert casual interest into season ticket holders. And expect the Indiana Fever to do everything in their power to make this a place Clark would never want to leave. That means continuing to build a roster around her and Aaliyah Boston that fits on the court. It means investing in training facilities, recovery technology, nutrition, and travel to keep veterans fresh and rookies developing. It means building out a Fever media hub that keeps fans engaged 7 days a week, not just on game nights. And yes, if the rules allow it, it means finalizing an equity framework that rewards her value and aligns her future with the franchise's success.
There is a larger picture here. Women's sports are having a breakthrough across categories. NWSL attendance, volleyball in football stadiums, gymnastics selling out arenas, NCAA women's basketball outdrawing men's games on television. The WNBA has the chance to lead this wave. To do that, it needs to retain the faces that move the needle, invest in the infrastructure that makes the product elite, and keep telling the truth about what fans are seeing. The best women's basketball in the world, played night after night by athletes who deserve the same stage and respect as their peers in other leagues. Caitlin Clark's decision, whatever it is, will not define the WNBA forever, but it will define this moment. If she accepts an ownership path and stays, she becomes a trailblazer in a way American professional basketball has never seen. A franchise player with equity who helps shape team strategy and league growth. If she declines and signs overseas, the WNBA will face urgent questions about player pay, scheduling, and how to keep the next generation from doing the same. Either way, the league has already been forced to evolve, and that evolution has value for every player who comes after her. Right now, the smart money says the WNBA will do what it takes to keep its biggest draw on U.S. courts. The business case is too strong, the fan response too clear, and the growth curves too steep to risk losing momentum. The Fever have a chance to become a flagship franchise for the next decade. The league has a chance to lock in a media rights deal that changes everything. Sponsors have a chance to align with a property that is finally being valued correctly. And fans have a chance to watch all of that in real time. So the question stands. Does Caitlin Clark tie her future to the Indiana Fever and help build the WNBA into the global league women's basketball deserves? Or does she take a short-term payday in Europe and return later? From a distance, the answer looks obvious. Stay. Keep stacking sellouts. Keep breaking ratings records. Keep pushing the WNBA's business forward until the money at home matches the money abroad. But the choice is hers, and it will be made with full knowledge of what she means to the game. If you care about WNBA news, the Indiana Fever, and women's basketball at the highest level, this is the decision to watch. It's about contract structure, sure, but it is also about the direction of the league, the balance between veterans and rising stars, and the blueprint for keeping talent in the United States. Whatever happens, the WNBA is not going back to where it was. The audience is here. The metrics are real. The demand is real. Now, it's on the league and its teams to match the moment, and on Caitlin Clark to decide where she wants to make history. We will keep tracking every development, from ownership talks and media rights updates to attendance numbers and playoff races. Drop your thoughts below. Should the WNBA offer equity to its top stars? Would an ownership stake keep more players from taking overseas contracts? What does the Fever roster need around Clark and Aaliyah Boston to make a deep playoff run? Like and subscribe for more WNBA coverage, breakdowns of the Indiana Fever schedule, ratings data, and the business moves shaping women's basketball.